Hello, good afternoon. Have to bear with me. I've got both sets of teeth in, and I feel I'm lisping a lot, but getting used to them more. Do you know, I've got a confession to make to all of you out there, all those YouTubers that watch my channel and make those sometimes rather stupid comments to my channel. And they all stem from their understanding that I have no understanding and that I'm in fact against Americans. I'll let you carry on thinking that because no doubt you come to see what more I have to say. But I'd like you to stop and think for a minute. What is the culture of America? What is the culture of England or Australia? Come to that. They're three different places. We'll take New Zealand first. New Zealand's culture is intermingled with the Pacific Island culture, that of Maoridom. I'll stop there for the moment. I'll come back to that later. Australia is a country founded on a colonial past, where England used to send its naughty boys and girls to the far-flung shores of Australia rather than hanging them. It was a penal colony, and therefore the history and culture of Australia is built and grown and developed on the idea of that exact history. And of course you'll have Americans who will turn around and say that their culture's this or that. But I'd like to remind obviously most that have a good understanding of their own culture, and that is that English people, the Pilgrim Fathers, the French, some German, and other European nations travelled over the Atlantic Ocean to become part of American culture. And American culture also includes, just like in Australia, when gold was found, lots of Chinese, Asians were called. But my history, my mother's history can be traced back way before the Civil War. And therefore, when I was growing up, I was filled with stories of not just cowboys and Indians and how the West was won, but also about the tea parties, the Civil War, North and South, and how slavery had a big part in history of America. But the trouble with that is that is fundamental to all cultures, the making of their nation, how they developed, how they became powerful, how they became not so powerful. England was one of those rule Britannia. And it was, before America, it was one of those countries that spent a lot of time spreading its wings around the globe. But I suppose really the English, the early settlers, decided they had no more time to be ruled by London, to have the politics of the lords, the ladies and gentlemen, to tell them how to live their rather unruly beginnings. So they kicked them out. The French were in Canada, hence a lot of Canada is still considered almost like a French territory. It's the second language, and in many cases the first. But like America, it's filled up with more and more migrants from around the world. But it's come there because they've come there because of the land of opportunity. As if the rest of the world doesn't have any either. Well, people used to flock to Australia. They still do in a certain extent. And they see Australia as that opportunity, a little bit like America. And those that live in Australia or been there for many times will often say, especially Americans, will say, America, well, Australia is a little bit like America was in the 60s. It hasn't quite become America, but it's working on it, sadly. But with the import of Eastern Europeans, African continent, Arab, the population and the culture is changing rapidly, along with Asians coming to Australia. And if we want an example of complete annihilation of a country, we just have to look back to my homeland of England. It's become a dreadful place. It's become a place where, as proud as I might be to be English, stroke Australian, it's no longer the England I grew up in. It's no longer a place that I would say to my children, go back and make a life in England. I used to pride myself on the fact that, well, England was so close to Europe, it was great. You could get on a ferry and go and explore all of these lovely European countries. And when they made the decision to shut all the borders and open them all up so everybody could travel, change the different currency, beautiful. The French money was exquisitely colourful. The French franc. The Deutschmark was a bit dull, but the French franc was a beautiful note. I have some of those somewhere. I did keep them. But all the different cultures of Europe are now spread all over the world. But one thing that remains, and that is the proxy Roman Empire. And I'll say the proxy because America now holds the mantle as being the new Roman Empire. For how long, I don't know. You know, the Genghis Khans of China, Asia, the Hitlers of Europe, hopefully buried in the past. But they still form part of the culture and beliefs of many of those countries. Not saying that Hitler is alive and well in Germany either, before you jump down my head. But we have a president of the strongest nation in the world, as they believe, the policeman of the world, which many might say they don't want to have. But it's not that they don't want to have it. It costs them so much money. Financially, America has borrowed and borrowed and borrowed like no tomorrow to keep all these machines going, the industrial enterprise, you will call it. But it's more than that, it's in the culture. People don't just join the army, they join the army, the navy, the reserves, and they pump themselves up, constantly going to gyms, constantly making themselves look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. The genetic look of an American often is very broad, solid shoulders, thick, thick neck and beefy top half, tiny ass and spindly little legs with bulging not biceps, on their legs. You know what I mean. Again, I'm not criticizing them, but that's the image of America. Their own president refers to patriots with a certain amount of raw enthusiasm. The flag is sacred, like no other flag in the world. People will die for that flag. It's true to say that the English march behind the flag, I'm sure, the same as the Germans, the same as the French. But the end result is the flag to Americans is paramount. And I'm glad that somebody's proud of their country. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a beautiful country. Vast, open spaces, amazing wonders. And we're not just talking about the Grand Canyon. You don't have to even go to America to discover the beauty of America. And I will say the friendliness of the people. But I think that a country that spends its time in the media, in politics, convincing the military, and so many of you have had military service or touched on it, even if you're a cook or a driver in a truck, you still have served, as you would say. The very common expression in America, thank you for your service, sir, ma'am. It reimposes the idea that the words that the president uses, brave, warrior, patriot, it's like he's talking about a centurion, like the Roman Empire. It's hard to live up to that all through your life, to know that, or to be told that you are one of those. But when we come to the Philippines, we have to change. Our attitudes have to change. Our perception of the world changes. We're surrounded by, again, a beautiful country. No more special than many other beautiful countries in the world, but we're a tropical nation. We're living in the tropics. The weather is hot, humid, heavy rain, cyclones, power outages, cock-a-doodle-doos in the morning, roaming dogs, and beautiful people, including the women. But in the comments, in the suggestion by many of the bloggers out there, it still creeps through the culture of America that somehow they're better than you and I. And that's a pity, really, because as a foreigner here in the Philippines, we're all the same, whether or not when they say, "Hi, Joe," they don't see American, they don't see French, they don't see English or Australian or Kiwi. They just see someone different. And I think it is true to say that, in a way, Filipinos are a little racist in the sense that we are treated differently. Some might say we're given a privileged position, and I think that's true. But also, we're misunderstood. We're often accused of being rude, being uncaring, prepared to have a bit and just drop it and carry on with a new one, almost abusive. That's not everybody is like that, but That's not the image any of us really need to put forward here in the Philippines as a guest in their country. Whether you've got a permanent residency or married to a Filipino or you're just here on a tourist visa, we have to remember we can be dumped as quickly as they'll invite us in. We're not secure in our tenure, so to speak. We have to be aware that it's a very childish way of looking at life in many ways compared to what we're used to. That it's a very emotional country, driven by emotion, jealousy, envy, and clearly anger in many cases that we have a better life than they have. And naturally we are often referred to as the prize. You, of course, will say your girlfriend or your wife is the prize. That's very noble of you. But remember, we are then the only one that really is the breadwinner. Very few of you have got a wife out there or a girlfriend that produces the same as what you can by way of your pension. But I will say that most people who retire here come here for economic reasons. And we probably need to dump the idea that somehow so many Americans come here with 5, 10, 15,000 a month to live on. Because I just don't think that's true. Because if you had that kind of income, why would you choose the Philippines to come and live in a second fiddle place? Somewhere where you've got to create what you had back home. Yes, for less money you can build a home. Yes, for less money you can live. But are you really happy here? Are you happy here, sitting there counting your dollars, worried that your woman is going to somehow cheat you out of your wealth? She may well do. So it's always good to keep the mouth shut. Don't tell her how much money you've got. But again, a warrior doesn't operate like that. He can't help himself. We are the greatest. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Guys, we really do have to learn to adapt and be humble. Be able to just be happy with what we have got. It's not about whether English people or Australians or Kiwis get less money than Americans, because there are some Americans that clearly have astronomical retirement funds, and good on them. But why would they choose to come here, except maybe to exploit those around us? That what appears to be a large amount of money isn't that much back home. But here they can live literally like millionaires. But for many Americans, they're the ones they ignore. They're the ones they give a wide berth to. Because as an American, you know how to spot the big ego guys. The ones that live in their ivory towers and spend most of their time bar hopping. They're not the true Americans who are humble enough to quietly help those around them, assist the families if necessary. The ones that would always offer a reach out hand to help, even if you're a Brit. So my thought for the day is, forget the Americans, the big show ones, and smile and be friendly to the ones that aren't that keen to talk to you, but just acknowledge them. Because even when they don't open their mouth, you don't know they're American until they do. Only by the accent, same way as ours. I often wait for the person to start talking, even if it's to someone else, to determine where that person came from. It always helps. Because when you're given the cold shoulder, it sort of tells you something. One, they don't want to talk to you. Second, they've got nothing in common. Maybe they've heard your voice. Maybe they've seen you on a video somewhere. Whatever reason, we all tend to stick to ourselves, and that's probably the best option. So if you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. It's important that you give us thumbs up, guys. Thumbs up. And it's not raining at the moment, but it was raining earlier, so I hope you have a peaceful evening and get a chance to catch up with friends and family overseas. Bye now.